Hello, my name is Jean, and I am a knitter. I'm also a dog owner, and they're just being annoying at the moment, but I really wanted to get this video done. I realized that, yes, I thought I had the pattern memorized, more or less. Well, it was more less than more. So, I have an ubu, an oops, an uh-oh, and oh man, really? Yeah. The sides of the Afghan are supposed to wave. They're supposed to have increases and decreases and little scallopy things all down the side, right? Well, not always. Oops. I've got a wave, but it's just not the wave I wanted. So, no, I'm not going to rip back this much. And I'm just going to correct the issue on the next set of pattern repeats. And I'm actually going to look at the pattern. It's not that difficult. But if you think you've memorized it, maybe you haven't. The toe is doing much, much, much better. As you can see, I can sit on it. Yay! I can walk on it. Yay! But I have been knitting a bit. And now, because I put it down for a long enough time, I have to sit down and look at it and count some stitches and make sure that I am starting up again on the correct row so that I get the correct shaping on the side of my pattern. Oops. It's that last repeat that does change on one side, but doesn't change on the other side. And I had it not changing on both sides, which is not correct, as we can see. But here in Arizona, it is cooler than it has been in quite some time. And it is turning into excellent Afghan knitting weather, because that means I can be curled up under part of the Afghan as I am knitting the Afghan, and I can be nice and warm. I've also discovered that over time, these will kind of stretch out a little bit, but if you dunk them in hot water, they retreat back to their nice snug fit, and I have not had any horrible disasters from my point protectors coming off. The one I do have to be careful of is the way that I knit will unscrew my knitting needles from the cable, the point part from the cable part. My knitting style gradually will apply pressure and they unscrew. So I have to make sure I keep a little grippy and a pin so that I can stick the pin in and hold this part straight and the grip part so that I can twist against it and keep my knitting needles snug together. But this is not one of those projects that's going to get done in a single month. And I have a loop here because I have a puppy who loves to claw at my knitting. But you see, all I did was pull in different directions and my little pulled snag is gone again. So there are times when it is a disaster and there are times when it is not a disaster. I think what I'm going to do is take some time and bury these ends now. So when I get to the end of my Afghan, I'll just have a limited number of ends to bury. And that's something I do many times in my work because it just makes it easier at the end if you bury your ends in groups as you have gone along. And then you don't have every single end to bury before you can use the item. I will admit, I have an Intarsha knit sweater that was plaid, had billions of ends, and I was so excited to wear it that I sewed it up and I left all these ends hanging on one sleeve. And when I looked at it again many years later, I realized I hadn't even sewn it together evenly. One sleeve has a drop like this, the other sleeve has a drop like this. Nobody has ever noticed or commented. And one of those sleeves has all the ends hanging inside it. I just tucked them in, put the sweater on, and went out to dinner. And I never got back. And I tell you, I was in college at the time. So that's a lot of years wearing a sweater that has never had the ends buried. Oops. So that's my oops issue today. I have a mistake in my pattern that you can even see, but it's not going to be noticed. And I have mistakes in sweaters that I have literally worn for years. And nobody's ever noticed. Nobody's ever commented. The sweater hasn't fallen apart. It's been comfortable. It's worn very well. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be finished. So I am laughing, but you know, I'm going to keep knitting. And I hope you do too.